Then,
You should be wiped out, so why are you breeding?
would it be possible for the Founder to make it so that none of us can have children anymore? If subjects of Ymir stopped giving birth, then Titans would be gone from this world within the next 100 years or so, right? And if that happened, then the world would be free from fear and suffering at the hands of Titans. What's more, if we Eldians hadn't been born in the first place, we wouldn't have had to suffer either.
Attack on Titan has become a global phenomenon in the anime world, and it wouldn't be a stretch to say that you can put it up there with the likes of Naruto and Bleach as one of the greatest animes of all time. One of the things I love about the show is the intricate questions and conversations that can come up because of it. Hajime Isayama has truly created a world with extremely dense and complicated characters, and one of the densest and most complex characters is Zeke Yeager. We first saw Zeke in Season 2 towards the end. I still remember my shock when he spoke, as I had no idea that there were Titans who could speak at all.
May I ask what you call that strange weapon of yours?
I'll be honest with you, when I was first introduced to Zeke, I didn't like him at all. But as we got to know his backstory and understand him as a character, I disliked him even more. Regardless of this, I definitely see his point and admire his determination to complete his grand plan and execute his philosophy. Despite this, I disagree with a lot of his rhetoric, and will explain why in this video. So here are 3 reasons why Zeke's philosophy is hypocritical. This is Cartoon Hub, and this is the false philosophy of Zeke Yeager. Zeke's entire philosophy centers around the pretense that all the pain and suffering in the world is a result of the existence of eldians, and that by wiping out the eldian race, he's essentially freeing the world from pain and suffering, and by extension, freeing the eldian people from pain and suffering as well, since never existing would be better than existing in a world as harsh as this one. In Zeke's eyes, all the eldian people are in a constant state of pain and suffering, and by taking away their ability to have children, he is freeing them from this, and by extension, freeing future generations from this pain and suffering as well. Now, if you can't see the absolutely cosmic levels of arrogance and apathy within that train of thought, you'll struggle to understand why Zeke isn't exactly the most beloved character within the Attack on Titan fanbase. If you look at it from Zeke's perspective, he is somewhat correct. The Eldian people have been the source of the most pain and suffering in the world, and in return have suffered a lot of pain and suffering at the hands of the rest of the world over the past century. Zeke is extremely forward-thinking and perspicacious to come up with a plan that will change the world and result in the least amount of casualties, unlike his brother Eren. It's no wonder he scored an 11 out of 10 for intelligence in the Attack on Titan handbook. As much as the Eldians have been the source of the most pain and suffering in the world, they are not the root of it. The root of pain and suffering in the world is, of course, human greed and ambition. So even if one were to eliminate the Eldians from the equation, it would only momentarily solve the problem, which would then resume when the next superpower took over the world and became the next source of human suffering. A perfect example of this is the Malian Empire. During the fall of the Eldian Empire, King Fritz gave up the empire to the Malians with the help of the Tibers. Now, the Malians, a people who had been persecuted by the Eldians for thousands of years, had the opportunity to end the cycle of pain and suffering for good and begin a new era of peace and prosperity in the world. Instead, they said, nah, screw that, we're gonna go take over the world, and did the exact same thing that their Eldian predecessors had done, conquering the earth, persecuting Eldians and other civilizations alike, and doing so simply because they had the power to. You see, there are no good guys and bad guys, there is no right or wrong, there are simply winners and losers. Who's to say that after Zeke had successfully wiped out the Eldian race, another nation won't rise up, destroy Mali, and begin a new era of human pain and suffering.
And all of a sudden, I remembered. I'd seen seen it all before. Many times. Since the day I was born.
This point can be summed up by the scene where Eren saves Mikasa. During the scene, Mikasa speaks about how seeing Eren kill those two criminals shocked her, but didn't surprise her. It didn't surprise her because she realized that Eren killing the mercenaries was no different from her dad hunting a goose, or a praying mantis eating a butterfly. That night that Mikasa's dormant acumen powers were awakened, she realized the truth that we are all familiar with, that the world is a cold and cruel place, and that pain and suffering are simply a part of life. This is yet another reason why Zeke's philosophy is flawed and false. Zeke sees himself as this divine savior that will remove all the pain and suffering from the world. But as smart as he is, his logic is flawed. Pain and suffering are simply a part of the world. They are a natural occurrence and will be experienced by all to varying degrees. There is no pleasure without pain. There is no light without dark. Which leads me to my third reason why Zeke's philosophy is flawed. Let's run through Zeke's greatest hits. 1. The first time we saw him, he killed Commander Nike Zacharias without a second thought, and he had the power to save him. 2. He sent dozens of Titans to eat the search party on the wall, and he did so for fun, since Titans don't typically move at night. 3. He killed the GOAT Erwin Smith. He killed the GOAT Erwin Smith, and essentially wiped out the entire scout regiment. 4. He turned all the innocent people in Rugako village into Titans. And finally 5, he basically turned the entire parody military into Titans who ate the Malian military. His logic is that by killing these people, most of whom had no knowledge of the Eldians' past, he is somehow saving them from their eternal suffering. Mind you, a lot of the time Zeke is smiling and laughing as he carelessly takes life from the world. For someone who's trying to save the world, he sure does enjoy destroying it. He also does so with no remorse or empathy, unlike someone like Reiner, who has developed severe mental issues from having to kill so many innocent people, or Eren, who can be seen crying to Ramsay in the final season, because he knew that soon he would wipe him and everyone else out during the rumbling. Unlike these characters, Zeke shows no signs of guilt or regret from his actions. His superiority complex is so out of control that he believes that killing innocent people is okay if his purpose demands it. This is one of the things that made me dislike Zeke when I started thinking about it, and I'm sure that I'm not alone. In closing, Zeke's philosophy, while well thought out and done with the right intentions, is to a very large degree flawed. I also feel that in a way, Zeke's childhood trauma played a huge part in the type of person he became, and that a large part of why he does what he does is to somehow spite his father Grisha. Let me know what you think in the comments. This has been a Cartoon Hub original. I'll see you next week. Thank you.